Welcome to the Alpha Girl Confidence Podcast, where we are empowering youth female athletes to play and live confidently. My name is Shay Haddo, and each week I will bring you new episodes to teach you the strategies and tools that you need in order to live a confident, empowered life both on and off the playing field. Hey, what's up? And welcome back to the show, episode 141, 3 tips to help you move past comparison. So I know comparison is honestly one of the hardest things to move through. I know it is for the girls I work with. I know it probably is for you listening. And it also is for me, right? I'm not immune to comparison. I'm not immune to getting on social media, scrolling and thinking, why is she doing so much better than I am, right? So it's something that we all struggle with and is something that I see as one of the biggest roadblocks to you really becoming confident in your sport and also in your life. So here's the thing with comparison is that the more confident you are in yourself and your abilities, the less likely you are to let comparison get in your way, right? But let's say that you're not very confident. Every time you get on social media or watch someone play, you're probably going to start feeling like you're not good enough, right? So confidence is such a huge part of beating comparison, is such a huge part of really moving through comparison, because the more confident you are, the less you let the outside noise get into your mind, and the less likely you are to let it stop you from doing what you want to do, right? And so I want to give you 3 tips today that you can take, you can use, and you can really apply to help you move through comparison and really improve your confidence so that you can focus on yourself and stop focusing on everybody else. So the first thing is really to focus on your strengths. Because here's the thing, when you compare yourself to other people, you're looking at their strengths. You're looking at the best things, you're looking at their highlights, you're looking at the things that they want you to see, especially on social media, right? So let's say you're scrolling and you see someone, well, you're literally looking at all of their best attributes, and you automatically assume that you compare their best to your worst. So you're comparing their strengths to your weaknesses. So if you do that, if anybody does that, of course you're probably going to feel like crap, right? Of course you're not going to feel like you're good enough, right? So you need to be really aware and know in your heart what your strengths are. Because I guarantee you, just because someone may be a better passer than you doesn't mean that they're better at everything than you, right? Like, we all have our strengths and we all have our weaknesses. And so too much of the time we focus on our weaknesses and we amplify our weaknesses, and we compare ourselves, our weaknesses, to other people's strengths. So focus on your strengths. So in order to do that, you need to know what they are. I can't tell you how many times I'll be talking to a player and I'll say, you know, what are you good at? What do you feel confident in? What are your strengths? And they don't know, right? But if I ask them, what do you need to work on? What are your weaknesses? They can rattle them off like it's nobody's business, right? So I want you to get really good at knowing what your strengths are, because when you know what your strengths are, number one is you're going to work on them even more and help you, really amplify those. But number two, when you're comparing yourself, you can refer back and be like, yeah, she's good at that, and I'm really good at this, right? And so really focus on your strengths and know what they are. So take, a couple minutes, either pause this right now, or once you're done listening, take a couple minutes and just write out your top 3 to 5 strengths, right? And so you could do this for your sport specifically. And you can also just do it, you as a person. What are your strengths as a person? Are you really funny? Are you really good at communicating with people? Like, what are your strengths as an athlete and also as a person off of the field or court? Okay, so that's number 1, is focusing on your strengths. Number 2 is to do a social detox, right? I'm sure I've talked about this on other episodes before, but it needs to be said again and again and again, right? So in today's world, it's very, very, very easy, so easy to go on to TikTok, to go on to Instagram, to go on to Facebook, and immediately start comparing your life to somebody else's highlight reel. Okay, so for me personally, I had this time when I was just starting my soccer training business about 4 or 5 years ago. And I was, I thought I was doing pretty good on social media. I was happy. My clients were happy. Everything was good. But then all of a sudden, there was this girl that was also had just started, and her Instagram like blew up, like 10K followers, like instantly. And I was like, what am I doing wrong? Like, why is she better than me? What's wrong with me? Right? Like, I'm not good enough. Right? Even though I was crushing it, I compared myself to her Instagram following, which, side note, followers do not matter worth crap. Someone's followers does not equal their worth at all. So get rid of your, conceptions around just because someone has a certain amount of followers, I mean, they're a better person or a better athlete. That's absolutely false, right? So a little side note there, right? But what I did is I found myself comparing her every single time I went on Instagram. And so what I did is I muted her. I think that's what it's called, where I muted her so that I didn't see her stuff all the time. And I did that for a couple weeks, and I started to feel better. I started to feel better about myself. I wasn't constantly going and looking at her stuff. And then after I got over that, I unmuted her and I started seeing her stuff again, but I could handle it now. I was at a place where I didn't let her success mean that I wasn't good enough. Right. And so if you need to, go unfollow people that you compare yourself to, or go mute them for a couple days or a couple weeks, or even better, take a few days off social media, right? So I've been taking off, the weekends on social media pretty much every weekend. I've been taking the weekends off just to kind of reset and really focus on me and my friends and my family. And it's been awesome. So some sort of social detox can be really, really powerful. And it's something that I suggest my players do before they play as well, because it's easy to get a comparison if you're on social media right before you have a game. So I suggest, getting off social media at least a couple hours before you play, if not the full day of your game. So that's if you really want to level up, that's my big advice there. All right. And then number 3, this one's huge. Number 3 is to celebrate other people instead of comparing and competing. So often as girls and as women, we compare ourselves and we think that if someone else is doing awesome, if someone else is succeeding, if someone else is crushing it, then we aren't good enough. If someone else is doing well in their sport, then there's not going to be enough room for me to also do well. I've struggled with this, and I think a lot of us struggle with this, to where we almost wish that other people wouldn't do well because then it makes us feel better about ourselves. Well, we need to get out of that scarcity mindset that just because someone else is doing well does not mean that you cannot also do well. There's always enough success, enough scholarships. There's enough for, not scholarships, not for everyone, but enough for the people that want it to get it. There's enough success in this world. There's enough confidence, enough happiness. There's enough money in this world for everyone to have it. So just because someone's doing well doesn't mean that you can't also do well. And it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you, right? They're on their own path and you're on your own path. So instead of seeing a post, maybe someone gets a scholarship, instead of comparing and saying, oh man, why can't I do that? She's better than me, blah, 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 blah. Instead of doing that, celebrate her, congratulate her. Because when one girl or woman wins and succeeds, we all win and we all succeed. So the more you can get into celebration mode instead of comparison mode, number one, the better you're going to feel about yourself, because it's just like when we celebrate other people, when we give, when we support, makes us feel good about ourselves. And number 2, the more it raises the positivity and the collective confidence of women and girls around the world. So you're not only doing it for yourself to make yourself feel better, but to make other people feel better, which collectively raises the positivity and the confidence of girls and women everywhere. So that is huge. So next time you see someone post something that you would usually start comparing yourself to, just take a deep breath, think about celebrating her, whether it's just liking it, whether it's commenting on it, or whether it's just celebrating her in your head and saying, you go, girl, you got this. Excited to see you crush it, right? You don't have to outwardly celebrate, but if you can just change and shift your mindset from one of scarcity, of there's not enough, to one of abundance, of there's always enough, that is going to drastically change your confidence, your happiness, the way you show up on the field, the way you show up in your life, right? And if you want like a community that celebrates you, that supports you, that is about celebration and not comparison and competing, then you can sign up for the waitlist for the Alpha Girl Collective. Doors are closed right now, but we'll be opening them. And when we do, if you are one who wants to celebrate other people and build confidence, and I want to see you inside of the Alpha Girl Collective. So the waitlist link is below. Click on that. And then also, part of this, right, is by helping other people, we all win. So share this episode with a friend. Leave us a 5-star review. Like, do one of those two things, because when we get reviews, when you share your opinion and how this has helped you, then it helps more girls to find the show. It helps more girls to learn from the episodes and really apply the things that you're also learning. So I hope this episode was powerful for you. I know that it was powerful for me just teaching it and coaching you on it. So I hope to help, and I will catch you on next week's episode.